I'm Randy, and this is Bourbon, Wine, and True Crime, a podcast where three considerate but sometimes rude friends sit down once a week to drink together virtually and discuss true crime. Obviously, we are one short today.
We are. Today it's two friends.
It's two friends. Sunny is out doing something. She was supposed to cover the case today, so it's a little awkward that she's not here. MIA.
Mm-hmm.
But so we're gonna do the shallow dive on a case that was in AJ's backyard couple years ago.
Yeah. But first we're gonna play a little game. This is my version of Murder, Marry, Fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have to tell me, instead of Murder, Marry, Fuck, right? You're gonna tell me who you would stalk, haunt, or talk to once you're dead.
Okay.
So haunting is like they can't see you, like you're just scaring the shit out of them or moving stuff or I don't know, being vengeful.
Mm-hmm.
Stalk is someone you would not, they can't see you, you can't haunt them, you're just like stalking them as a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
And then talk, like who would you, dead or alive, like want to have like a long conversation with once you're dead.
Okay.
And you cannot include like your loved one. Like we know I would totally haunt my husband, but
yeah.
Yeah, there's a laundry list of other people. Okay, ready, set, go. Haunt, stalk, or talk?
I have to pick a person?
Yeah.
Let me see. I think I would haunt. I would want to I would haunt Tom Hardy.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to watch you.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I would be practicing my ghost moves. Like, can I touch it? Can I touch it?
Just try to like gather all your energy.
Be like, oh, I'm gonna bite it. That's a good one. Okay, Tom Hardy stalks. Haunting Tom Hardy.
Haunting Tom Hardy. I think I would stalk the Kardashians just because I'm like really curious about how they're so famous, and everything that I know about them I've learned against my will.
Yeah.
I'm like,
haven't we all?
Yeah. Like you can't be the people that are portrayed in like the media. Like there has to be some kind of substance to your personality.
Like what is it behind the closed doors? Like what does that look like? Yeah.
And then
talk.
Who do I think is interesting?
So you're already dead in this scenario. So yeah.
I think I would love somebody like, like Serena Williams or Michael Phelps. There's like really high caliber athletes. I would like to talk to them because like, what does your daily life look like when you're, training or preparing for a match or a swim meet or something like that? I think that would be interesting.
Yeah.
And it'd be perfect when I'm dead because then I don't feel obligated to like try to mimic it.
True. No pressure. Pressure's off. Like I'm on the best diet ever. I'm never going to gain any more weight. Okay.
I weigh
Those are
nothing.
good. Those are good.
All right, your turn.
Okay, I would definitely haunt. Lately, I'm in like a Bradley Cooper kind of phase.
Oh,
there's just something scruffy and yummy about him. Kind of not as scruffy as Tom Hardy. I think Tom Hardy wins the award for sexy scruff.
Fun fact: Bradley
He's
Cooper is a huge Eagles fan.
Oh, that's right, he is. You saw him on the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Didn't he do that movie Silver Linings Playbook, and that's in Philly? And they're all Eagles fans, and like his dad has like a severe superstition, and he has to like sit next to the chair and like hold a handkerchief for the Eagles to win.
I'll have to watch it though.
That's a great movie. That's a really good movie. Oh yeah, but I'm in a Bradley Cooper kind of mood lately. I would definitely gather my energy to bite that.
He's an attractive man.
Yeah, he is. Okay, stalk. Who would I stalk? I just would want to learn from.
It's a hard one.
That is a hard one. Geez. I think the Kardashians, that's a good pick you picked. Maybe Madonna.
Oh, that would be a good one.
She was like, I was obsessed with her as a kid, as a teenager, in my 20s. Like, it's my goal someday to own her Truth or Dare book.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want one so bad. But she, like, it's like the Kardashians. Like, what is she like behind closed doors? What is she
Mm-hmm.
like every day? She's brilliant. She's provocative.
Trailblazer.
She is. She's mysterious. Like, you
Mm.
really don't know a whole lot. We know a lot, but like, I don't know. I think she would be very interesting to stalk and just observe. I would love, 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 love to talk to like Cleopatra or like Hatshepsut.
Oh,
Like barring no language barrier.
yeah.
And be like, man, you were a badass bitch back then. Like, damn.
She
I would those
was
one of those two.
Cleopatra
Probably more
was
Cleopatra.
wild.
Yeah, she was. She was incredible. She drank a wine that had pearls in it just to show Mark Antony how rich Egypt was.
Didn't
Like,
she get
that's
her
ballsy.
didn't she get her first audience with him by like rolling herself up in a rug and having it delivered to him?
I think that was for Julius Caesar. That was when
Okay.
her brother was still in power and she wanted to overthrow her brother, and she knew that her
Hmm.
greatest ally would be Rome. And then she had her brother killed, and then she had her sister killed
Ah. I knew about the
shortly
brother.
after
I didn't
that.
know about the sister.
Yeah. Oh, her sister had the most beautiful name too. I can't think of her name.
Let
It
me
starts with an A.
let me look it up.
It's really pretty. The Ptolemies.
Arsenal?
Arsinia.
Arsenio.
Uh-huh. She was only like 12 or 13 when Cleopatra had her assassinated, but
Oh no.
she was
Oh
real young.
yeah, the any of like the royal lines were just
Crazy.
yeah.
I talk about them a lot when we do genetics in class. Talk about the royal lineages and all the crazy stuff that
I
they
feel like that's how
considered
they started
pure.
figuring out, oh yeah, like keeping the bloodlines pure.
Hmm.
Blah, blah.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Mm.
That's just
Yeah.
that's that's why they were so they had so many health problems. They were so
Hmm.
inbred.
It was awful. Yeah. But that
And
idea progressed until like just a couple hundred years ago when it
mhm.
finally was like stopped. I think even like Queen Elizabeth II, who just passed away, and her husband are like second or third cousins.
Oh really?
Hmm. Based on like as much as they intermarried with their like uncles and nieces and nephews and all that stuff. But
Huh,
anyway, so that's our little game: haunt, stalk,
yeah.
or talk.
I'll come
Very
up with
interesting.
some interesting, like a interesting pool of choices for next time.
Yeah,
When
we have to. Yeah, we were just riffing that one.
yeah, when we get
Okay.
dear Sunny back.
Mm-hmm. So, like we said, this is going to be a very shallow dive because this is kind of impromptu on our part. We're gonna talk about the Las Cruces Bowling Alley massacre that occurred in Las Cruces, New Mexico, on February 10th, 1990. So, I'm in El Paso, and this is only about an hour or so away from where we are. And I have family that lives in Las Cruces and that have lived there for decades now. So I'm familiar with this, and it still remains. Well, you'll see. We'll talk about it, right?
Las Cruces is such a fun little town.
It
I don't know if you
is.
call it a little town. It's a major city.
It's a city. Yeah, it's a major city. Some beautiful places there. It's one of the top 10 places to retire in the United States.
I can see that.
So, yep.
Me and we used to go to the wine festivals out in New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And one time me and Sonny drove all the way to Las Cruces because we found out that this goat cheese we had gotten at the wine festival, they sold at this little market that's there. I think it's called like Toucans or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Some kind of tropical bird name. And of course we got the amazing Las Cruces wine, which is so good.
I have okay, quick anecdote, side story. You know the phrases when they're like, "Tell me you're from El Paso," without telling me you're from El Paso.
Mm-hmm.
right? So in addition to my duties at school, I also do an after school program for kids who are trying to just like recover credits and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So part of like the URL and like when you log in, like you have to use capital OLE and then like whatever your login is.
Mm-hmm.
I always read that as Ole, like Ole. Yeah. That in my brain, that's just what it was. I was like, oh, how
Right.
cute. They made it so it's like so El Paso, like that's
Yeah.
so cute. I love that. So that your login is Ole, da 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 da. And you log on to Ole URL, da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
And so on Thursday, when I was talking to the co-teacher, she was like, okay, now go to the online learning environment, da 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 da. I was like, what?
Oh no.
She was like, yeah, the online learning environment, OLE. And I was like, oh,
Ow. That's an acronym. That's what that
that's an
means.
acronym. And I said, I just read it in Spanish, like, ole. She laughed so hard. I felt so stupid. But anyway, that's my El Paso anecdote for this week.
Little anecdote before we get into our horrific
Yeah.
case.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get into it. So again, this is going to be a pretty shallow dive. I've got Wikipedia and I've got another article from Albuquerque that we're going to read from, but I do want this to be another parter because there's so much here and it's I think it's important to talk about the people who lost their lives and who are witnesses and victims in this situation. Let's see where it goes. All right, here we go. So, Las Cruces Bowling Alley massacre occurred in Las Cruces, New Mexico, United States on February 10th, 1990. 7 people were shot, 4 fatally, by 2 unidentified robbers at the Las Cruces Bowling Alley at 1201 East Amador Avenue. The gunman shot the victims in an office, then set fire to a desk in the room and left the scene. The case is still unsolved. So on the morning of February 10th, the bowling alley's manager, 34-year-old Stephanie C. Cenac, was in her office preparing to open the business with her 12-year-old daughter, Melissa Repass, and Melissa's 13-year-old friend, Amy Hauser, who were planning to supervise the alley's daycare. The alley's cook, Ida Holguin, was in the kitchen when 2 men entered through an unlocked door. One pulled a .22 caliber pistol on Holguin and ordered her into Cenac's office, where she, Repass, and Hauser were already being held by the other gunmen. The gunmen ordered the women and children to lie down while taking approximately 4,000 to 5,000 grand from the bowling alley safe. Soon after, Steve Tehran, the alley's 26-year-old pin mechanic, entered. As Tehran had been unable to find a babysitter for his 2 daughters, 2-year-old Valerie Tehran and 6-year-old Paula Holguin, no relation to Ida, he intended to drop them off at the alley's daycare. Not seeing anyone in the alley, Tehran entered Cenac's office and stumbled onto the crime scene. The gunman then shot all 7 victims multiple times at point blank range.
I didn't realize there were so many children that were involved.
That's when this is like, it's so horrific, the brutality here.
And 2 of them were just there to open. You gotta love the 90s.
You do.
2 kids opening the daycare.
Yep. So they shot them at point blank range. Then they set the office on fire by igniting some papers before leaving the bowling alley. The bowling alley fire was reported at 8:33 a.m. Officers responding to the call discovered that Amy Hauser, Paula Holguin, and Stephen Tehran had died at the scene. Valerie Tehran was rushed to the hospital but declared dead upon arrival. Valerie was the 6-year-old.
Jeez.
Repass, despite being shot 5 times, so Repass is the little girl, she's the 12-year-old, I believe.
Yeah.
She, despite being shot 5 times, called 911 on the office phone, allowing emergency services to respond immediately and saving her life along with her mother's and Ida Holguin's. However, Cenac died in 1999 due to complications from her injuries.
Jeez.
Police set up 10 roadblocks surrounding Las Cruces within an hour of the shooting and carefully screened anyone leaving the city. I just feel like that's too much time even still. I mean, that's pretty quick, but
yeah,
it's not that big of an area.
Right.
The U.S. Customs Service, Army, and Border Patrol searched the area with planes and helicopters, but no arrests were made. The case remains unsolved, but it is still under active investigation by the Las Cruces Police Department as of 2015. In 2016, 26 years after the shooting, a brother of victim Stephen Turan, Anthony Turan, was included in an issue of the Las Cruces Sun newspaper, and one of his remarks was noted, "In this day and age, things like this don't go unsolved. How did we not get these guys?" That's the question I ask myself every day. Numerous people saw these gunmen, so someone out there knows something, and they need to come forward. Authorities are now trying to build a DNA profile from evidence found at the scene. Yeah, motherfuckers, you're gonna get caught.
DNA profile.
So there has been a movie made about this, a documentary, and then this also says that there's an Unsolved Mysteries in America's Most Wanted for this.
Yes,
So that's just directly from Wikipedia.
Yeah. In what date is this article? February 10th, 2022. So 32 years after the shootings, the reward is up to $32,000.
Wow.
So looks like they're still trying to work it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have one more article to read. This is from the Albuquerque Journal.
Mm-hmm.
This was published on the 11th of February, 1990. So I think that's the day after, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Lisa Lilly, 27, told the Associated Press that one of the wounded was her cousin, who worked in the bowling alley's kitchen and was filling in for someone who could not work. She was shot in the shoulder and behind the head. Lilly said no information was given on identities or conditions of survivors. But Rubio, I'm not sure who Rubio is, I think it's from the beginning of the article, which I can't see, said they are believed to be in critical condition. They are very badly hurt, Rubio said. They are very frightened. Rubio said police received a call about 8:30 a.m. from a person the police declined to identify who reported a fire and people hurt at the Las Cruces Bowling Alley. The alley had opened at 8 a.m. and a junior bowling league tournament was scheduled to begin at 9. When police, firefighters, and paramedics arrived, they found 7 in a partially burned office. When they went in there, in the office area, there was a smoldering fire and a lot of smoke, Rubio said. The assailants concentrated them in one area, and then they shot them in the one area. I think what you got here is all the people were hurted and assassinated. He added, we're looking at the motive as robbery. We're looking at the motive that for some reason or other, they decided to rid themselves of any witnesses. As far as we know, there were no other people in the area at the time. It appears that they were trying to burn up the crime scene, and it appears the fire was set after the fact. Money was taken, but he declined to say how much, which now we know. According to Robert Armendariz, a cook at the bowling alley restaurant, Steve Turan, who operated the pin machine at the bowling alley, his wife and daughters go in there and hang out while their dad's working, he said. The wife's whereabouts were unknown Saturday night. The bodies were left in the building while police waited for state police crime lab personnel to arrive at the scene. Lab personnel arrived about noon. The dead were removed from the building at about 4 p.m. A massive manhunt took place and involved about 120 officers from the Las Cruces Police, New Mexico State Police, Doña Ana County Police Sheriff's Department, and New Mexico State University Police, U.S. Customs Service, Border Patrol, Mesilla and Hatch Police, and the Federal Drug Enforcement Agency. Jesus, with all of that, we couldn't find them. 6 aircraft and helicopters were also used, but the suspects, who are believed to be driving a green, older model utility van or truck or pickup, successfully eluded capture. According to police, descriptions gathered from interviews in the neighborhood of the bowling alley, the suspects were described as follows. One suspect is described as Hispanic male, about 45 to 50 years old, 5'6", medium build, 135 to 140 pounds with dark complexion, black hair worn, combed back, and brown eyes. He was last seen wearing a green and white plaid sport coat, dark green or brown pants, and black cowboy boots. So if he was, let's say 45, it's now, how many years later? 34 years later?
Mm-hmm.
So he'd be at maybe 90 if he lived. That's crazy. The other suspect is described as Hispanic male, 29 to 30 years old, 5'10", about 170 pounds, with dark complexion and dark kinky hair. He was last seen wearing a dark jacket and pants and possibly a red shirt. He is believed to be armed with a 6 or 8 inch blue steel revolver. Officers were manning 10 roadblocks into and out of the city. A helicopter was being used, and 80% of the city police department's criminal investigation staff was working the case, Rubio said. Police are waiting to talk to survivors of the shooting to get more information because there are apparently no other witnesses, Rubio said. All we have right now is what we have at the hospital. They're under doctor's care, and we have not been able to get much out of them, he said. Meanwhile, about 2:30 p.m. Saturday, in an apparently unrelated incident, police found a man bleeding from a stab wound and wandering on the 1400 block of East Idaho. The man later died while undergoing surgery at Memorial General Hospital. The man, who remains unidentified until notification of next of kin, was described as an Anglo man in his 30s. Police are searching for another Anglo man, 20 to 30 years old, 5'8" to 5'11", in connection with the stabbing. The man was last seen running from the area. This is real sketchy, but it's a terrible, busy, and hectic day with all that's going on, said Lieutenant Conrad Pereira, I think that's his last name, with the Las Cruces Police Department. Rubio also apologized to the press during his mid-afternoon news conference for not having more information available, but explained it has been a very frustrating and trying experience. Mm-hmm. On Sunday, January 14th, Las Cruces reported its first homicide of the year when a gas station attendant was found shot through the head. An unidentified amount of money was taken from the cash register and safe at the time. Wow.
See, that's the thing. And like, we're seeing this now with the Idaho college murders, is that there's no way that this was their first crime.
Mm-mm.
Like,
no,
you killed children, and I love like the inflation calculator. So they stole between 9 and 11 grand in today's money with inflation. Wow. But there's no way okay, a robbery, that's one thing. I wouldn't think that a bowling alley would have a lot of money, but you go in to rob the place and then you just shoot everyone in the head, to include children.
A 2-year-old.
And so I found out this case was also on Unsolved Mysteries. Captain Fred Rubio, the guy you were talking about, he's with mm-hmm. He was with the Las Cruces Police Department. And he said, "We assessed the scene immediately. We canvassed the neighborhood, and thank God we were able to come up with a couple of witnesses that were able to give us some pretty decent composites." And Stephanie's brother was one of the ones that saw the two dudes. He stopped by the bowling alley on his way to school. He said, quote, "I saw 2 Hispanic gentlemen walking from the back of the building towards the front. The older gentleman handed the younger gentleman a small case. The older gentleman squats down and looks right at me as I'm driving towards them. I took notice of what they were wearing and their descriptions: hair color, skin, and eyes." Wow. So that's where that would be terrible, because obviously at the time he didn't know what was going on, and then to find out later on that that's maybe who shot your sister.
Like, on the one hand, if you're going to plan a robbery like that early in the morning, you're almost guaranteeing very few people in the building. Mm-hmm. But it's just such a tragic, like, wrong place, wrong time for these 2 teenagers. I mean, everybody involved, but these kids.
I hate hearing stories like that when it's, oh, I wasn't supposed to be there that day, but I stopped by for whatever reason, or I don't get how you go from a robbery to a, quadruple homicide.
Yeah. 7 people dead. And again, I want this to be I want to do this one again, but I think that the little girl that ended up calling 911, she had to play dead. Like, she had it in her mind. Like, she's like, if I don't move, they'll leave. And she stayed there until she felt like it was safe enough to get up. And in her condition, called 911. Like,
yeah.
God, wow.
I don't even like kids, and I couldn't intentionally hurt a child. Mm-mm. There's like something that is inherently broken in you if you can hurt kids.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Well, yeah, this was a shallow, very, very shallow dive, because
little poop.
we didn't think we'd be covering a case today. Thought we'd be on the sidelines listening.
Mm-hmm. And you're my witness. I said, "Do you want me to have something in my pocket to be ready?"
She said,
was like, "No, I got this. It's fine. I can do a case. It's okay. I have a boyfriend now."
Well, of course, we are, very into true crime. And so the first thing is, this is so not like her. She's something bad happened. No, she's fine.
I'm suspicious.
She's out off-roading.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, now that I know you're alive, I'm annoyed with you.
Yes. Now I can move on to being annoyed instead of being worried.
This reminds me of those clothing racks in the store, the circular ones with the clothes
Mhm.
all around them. So my brother used to think it was so funny to hide when he was a kid. He hides in the circular clothing rack in like, a Sears or a Kohl's or something.
Mhm.
And this is in the 90s. And I think this was not too long after not hysteria, but like the panic after John Walsh's son Adam was missing.
Oh, yeah.
So, everyone's holding on to their kids a little bit tighter. And so my mom is like yelling and looking for him in the store, just going crazy. And somebody happens to see two little sneakers, in the middle of this clothing rack. So they're like, oh, we think we found him. So my mom, like, she runs up to him and she's hugging him and she's crying. And she's like, oh my God, like, I'm so glad you're okay. And that lasted for about 2 seconds. And then she's just like whopping his butt. Like, you don't ever do that to me ever again. I thought you were dead.
Well, I think every mother has had that exact experience in some form or fashion, whether it's like the grocery store or Target or a gas station. It's like you lose sight of them for a second and you're just frantic. You're just absolutely frantic. And then you get them, you're like, I love you. Never do that again.
Good Lord. You're grounded for life.
You're never leaving my sight.
He never did it again. So
how much younger is he than you?
My brother, he's 2 years older.
Okay.
And my sister is 7 years younger. Yeah, I want to do I'm sure it's been done a lot, but the Adam Walsh case, that was a terrible, terrible case. I just like, how do you hurt kids?
Sick people.
Hate it.
Speaking of sick people, I entertained myself yesterday. I know I sent you the pictures of how many penises I could make in my mom's house without her noticing. So, Mom, if you're listening to this, which I hope you have not fallen asleep yet, and you listen to the very end, I'm so happy you've been listening to the podcast lately. But I want you to know
Mom.
that while I clean your house, I also construct phallic symbols in hopes you will find them. But so far, when I was over there today, you hadn't moved any that I had created yesterday. So I don't think you've quite caught on to the trick.
How many are you up to now?
I think yesterday and today I was able to make like a solid 5, and she's not seen any of them. And she has enough tchotchkes. Like I could do this for days. There's endless material. So we'll see. We'll see if she catches on. I love you.
Just keep building on it until she notices. Somebody replaced it's a picture of Obi-Wan Kenobi from like one of the not the original Star Wars, but one of the ones from like a couple of years ago. And somebody replaced that picture, a picture of Jesus, with a picture of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And like nobody noticed for like months. And I can't remember, it was like a church or like something like that. And nobody noticed. And I was like, that's very funny. That's
kind of brilliant. I have another prank up my sleeves for her, and I'm not going to say it. I'll tell you off the air when we're not recording because I don't want her to hear it. But I've got another one I've been thinking about that I think I could pull off, and it would keep her busy forever.
I like pranks, but I'm not mature enough for somebody to prank me. So I know if I pranked Ernesto and then he pranked me back, I would like be really angry. But you can't be angry at a prank. You have to be like, oh, you got me.
Yeah.
But now I'm gonna be pissed.
And I'm gonna get you back.
And then it's just gonna keep escalating. Like I really admire those couples that can just prank each other without getting angry, because we would not be cool. We've eaten like, babe, I'm gonna cook you dinner, and it's like ramen, but it's not even cooked ramen. It's just like a little dried packet in an empty pot. Like, I made you dinner. Remember when you threw whipped cream at me the other day? That was funny, right? I like funny jokes.
This one's pretty funny.
I'm not mad. I just think it's funny.
I don't know. I think we should prank Sunny now next time.
Oh, I think we totally should.
Sunny, if you're listening, which I don't think you would be, but if you are, be prepared. I have one in my pocket for you. That sounded kind of sleazy.
Is that a banana in your pocket? Or are you just happy to see me?
It's a prank. All right.
Well, until next time.
It's been a slice.
It's been a slice. Well, like and subscribe.
Yes.
You can find us. Follow. Leave a nice review. Say kind things. We will see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.